Hi, this is Wendy Garrido from StressLessMom.com, and I'm here today to give you my top 3 Racy tips for a less painful and more empowered birth experience. So these are tips that you're probably not going to hear from anybody else. Maybe you're going to read them in a book, maybe 1 or 2 of them, but my guess is that even if you have a midwife, she may not give you these 3 tips. Are you ready? Okay, so the first one I want to tell you is get to know your cervix. Yeah, like I don't know how well you know yourself down there, but you're going to be going into an experience that is all about your female organs, your female body parts. This is representative of femininity. And if you don't know what it's like down there when you're normally, or now that you're pregnant, how are you going to know what's different when you're going through the birth experience? Do you know what I mean? So get comfortable. Feel yourself down there. If you've never felt your cervix, put your finger in and find out. It's actually, depending on your background, this may or may not make you feel uncomfortable, but think about it. Whether you're working with a doctor or a midwife, they're going to be feeling you down there, and you're going to feel a lot more empowered and comfortable if you know, first of all, what it is they're looking for and what they're feeling. And second of all, you may not even need them to feel it because you'll know for yourself. So during my labor, I labored through the night pretty much by myself, and then at some point I said, I wonder how far dilated I am. And then I realized, well, duh, I could just check. So I put my finger in, and that was actually my first experience making physical contact from the outside with my daughter. I could feel her head and her scalp right through the bag because my water hadn't broken yet. So my first one, get to know your cervix if you don't already, because it'll make for a more empowering birth experience. Okay, and my second one, I promise that this will make your experience so much less painful. And I would say my birthing experience wasn't painful. It was uncomfortable at times for me, but I didn't have pain, like a sharp pain, because it was really this opening up experience. And the easiest way to open up down there is just like you would open up when you're making love, and it's to pleasure yourself. So this is my tip number 2 is during birth and labor, touch yourself down there. Do what feels good for you and what works for you on a regular basis, and it will help you stop the contracting of your muscles, which is what creates the pain, and it'll help you open up and be more allowing and get through it totally differently. So I don't care what anybody else says. Give it a try. The most important thing for you during birth is for you to feel safe and comfortable. So wherever you are, whoever is there, ask the people you need to leave if you're not comfortable with them, and know that whoever's there for you needs to be comfortable while you do whatever you need to do to get through this experience, including touching yourself. Okay, so my third tip is the one that I have the biggest problem with when I first thought of it, but my midwives kept asking me, well, Wendy, what are you going to do with the placenta? What are you going to do with the placenta? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'll go bury it in the backyard. I have no idea. And I didn't quite get why they kept asking me this. And finally, I really started to look into placenta and what they call placentophagy. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I was totally turned off of it because I was mostly gross. I mean, I thought it was gross, but it was mostly... And I was mostly vegetarian. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say. Because what it is there's people who will come into your house for like $150 and they will dry the placenta, powder it up, and put it in capsules so that you can actually eat the placenta, which I know sounds absolutely disgusting. And this coming from somebody who is mostly a vegetarian, I was like, But the most animals in nature who eat their placentas they're herbivores, so they don't usually eat meat, and I don't even like to think of it as meat, but and if you look into it, there's tons of examples of people who do it and feel so much better postpartum. And It's one of the best things to counteract like postpartum depression, and it helps your body get back to normal in terms of your iron levels and your hormones. And so I know it sounds disgusting, and you need to do whatever you feel is best for you. But when I read those examples that talked about women who had had really tough postpartum depression during their first birth, and then the second time around they tried this and it really made a difference for them, I was convinced that I wanted to try it too. I had a beautiful, relatively easy and relatively fast 8-hour birth at home. And then after my daughter was born, I wasn't even thinking about the placenta. And the midwives were like, we need to get this placenta out of you. And so we kind of had to do these increasingly invasive measures to try to get the placenta out. And finally I had to be transferred to the hospital for an emergency D&C where they actually had to scrape it out. So when I went to the hospital, I said, I would like to have the placenta back. I didn't tell them why. And I now know that I made the mistake of asking or making a request to a hospital instead of being really firm and clear. So whether you're planning a hospital birth or you're not, if you ever end up there, you need to tell them exactly what you want. You've got this thing that if they disobey you, you've got some leverage, because I had no leverage. I said, I want my placenta back, and they said, oh sure, we'll probably be able to do it, or we'll try. And next thing I know, because the doctor, after doing this D&C, decided that so she just said, this placenta is going through pathology, and that was the end of my placenta. So I'm super bummed that I never got to see it. I never got to even try placenta encapsulation is what it's called. And I had to go through a healing process around the whole hospital experience, but even the loss of that organ that was this really strong connection between my daughter and I for all that time. So that is my third racy but really important tip for you. And of course I honor whatever you want to do and whatever you feel is safe. But if you haven't considered it, look into it and see what feels best to you. Okay, so that's all from me for now. I freaking love you, even though I don't know you yet. There was just something that was calling me to make this video. So here it is, and there you are. And if you find it helpful and you want more from me, you can go to my website, stresslessmom.com, and sign up for my free twice monthly newsletter. And you can also sign up for a free 45-minute stress less parenting strategy session with me. And I would love to just kind of talk to you, answer some questions that you might have about your birth and birthing, or life after you've got the baby, which is something I think is really important for you to think about, is what's the next step? We get so focused on the birth, and there's really this whole other world on the other side of the birth. So I want to help make sure that you're prepared for that. How do you run a business and have a baby and keep a relationship and all of that? So that's all from me, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you. Bye.